That would have sucked not to have this. Okay, so welcome, Gino, to our webinar series called Creating Smart Salons and Stylists, SMART. And this is call number 3 out of our 12-call series. And we are on the S of service, servicing, and having a servant's heart. And on our last call 2 weeks ago, I started the service conversation. And we all kind of came to the party with talking about service. How can we elevate our experience? Do we give consistent full service? And we shared some stories of service experience that really wowed us in our lives, even outside of our industry. So we're going to kind of pile that on here to part 2 with you and see where you go with that topic of the S. And I'm so excited. So I'm going to hand it over to you, G. Team, make sure you guys, if you want to write down some questions that come to mind, you can go ahead and those at will. I know we all have like a little icon that allows you to raise your hand on your screen. I don't know where it's at. Somebody found it on one of the other calls before, but if you raise your hand to your camera when you have a question, I'll call on you. Gino's raising his hand quite well.
I just testing it out.
No, on the computer somewhere is a little icon that allows you to, it like raises your hand. But I forget where it's at. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. But go ahead and rock and roll, Gino. It's all you, baby. Thank you for being here.
I'll tell you what, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be able to spend an hour with all of you, and I'd like it to be the best possible hour you could spend today. So you tell me, what would be the best thing that I could share with you that we can talk about to really make today have great value?
I'd love to hear you just go off a little bit about service as a concept within our industry. Salon, spa, nail, hair, makeup, fashion, eyelashes. We got everybody on the call here, so go for it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great time to do that. I'm actually being interviewed right now by Steve Reese in Modern Salon Magazine, and he's talking about I've probably been in more salons over the last 35 years than so they're going to run an article on me about the guy that's been in more salons than anyone. And you really do learn a lot when you have an opportunity to travel across the country. And also when you have that service mentality where I'm always looking for a story, whether it's a good story or a bad story, just something that makes you want to talk more about what was the experience that you had. And I really think in our industry, we have a great service industry, we have a great service environment, but it's really very inconsistent. There's days that we can't wait to go to work and do it all. There's days that we just want to get in, get done, and get out of there. And I think that sometimes what happens is we lack the true commitment to the customer to be steadfast and be consistent every time, all the time. And one of the things I used to do regarding service that I thought worked so well, not only would I compile tremendous service stories from other industries that I would bring back into my salons, into the beauty industry, but also, if you have a pencil and paper, you might want to jot this down. It would be a great place to start a meeting when you get back into the salon and you're with everyone. And that would be this. If we start to focus on, start with the customer, and work backwards from there. So if you were to write out guest on the top of your page, start with the guest and work backwards from there. And the reason we began was everybody wanted the heat turned up or the air turned up. Everybody wanted the music changed or the music louder or a different CD or put Pandora on. And eventually we got to the point where it really wasn't about us, that we really do go to work every day, all day for the customer, for the sake of the customer. If ever you've seen me at seminars, one of the things I always share is, how busy would your company be if you had every customer you ever laid your hands on? And I think one of the things we really have to look at is, how do we, through a service environment, increase retention and really get customers to understand that we used to have a thing that we called Salon Core Dialogue. And part of our service dialogue was to share with every guest that came in. We believe in lifetime customers. We believe in long-term relationships. And we'd like that to begin right here with you. And I think at times there really is no quality control doing what we do. So at times what happens is that quality control fluctuates so much that we allow a customer to leave not being owned by us. And then they have the opportunity to shop and try someplace else, try something else. So there's my gist on, where it comes from and what we need to do.
Well, that would certainly support client retention, which to my understanding, I believe is still fluctuating around 33, 34% as an industry. So
I agree. Yeah, it's right around 30%. And you know what? It vacillates tremendously depending on the salon. And interestingly enough, every one of you, someplace within walking or certainly short driving distance, there's a salon that does a better job than we do. So what we have to learn how to do is get and keep, really commit to, how do you own your place in your marketplace? How do you own your place in the industry? And I'll give you an example. I was in Chicago with a team of salon owners a few months ago. We were having dinner at a nice Chicago Italian restaurant. And we all couldn't wait to have dessert because they're known for their cheesecake. Well, we never got a chance to have dessert because, talk about 10 salon owners, all of us talked at one time, and then before you knew it, time was up. On our way out the door, the waiter says, "Gentlemen, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I didn't want you to leave without the cheesecake. So I went ahead and cut a piece in every little bag for each one of you with a fork and a napkin." Wow. And it's on me. And I think he overheard the fact that we were hairdressers and knew that if he did that, we were going to give him every single and $5 bill in the pocket as a tip. I mean, he got a stack of money, but the story helps you to then pass it on to other people. Correct. You have to stop sometimes. And when you talk about service with your team or even in your own head, you have to ask yourself, what am I known for? What does the customer base know my company for? How do we establish our difference? What's really special about us? And I believe because we don't answer those questions, we leave a lot of money on the table, and we leave a lot of customers that go out then and shop for other businesses instead of with us. And the key would be, every one of us want to get value, out of our time. We want to get value out of the different services that we do. But value is different to us than it is to a guest because we don't pay for our services. So we don't even look at service. If we're in the salon, we'll grab somebody who's free and say, "Cut my hair," or "Put some color on me." We don't question each other in regard to service. Kind of do our thing. But the true definition of value would be to understand it's the difference between what the guest gets and what the guest wants. And basically every guest we're doing has been someplace else before where they feel like they didn't get that value, so they're now giving us a shot. So here's our time, to see if we can blow their minds and get to keep them. So shoot me some questions.
That's awesome, Gino. I'm going to share real quick, and then I'll hand it over to the crew. I remember being at the New York show years ago, and I happened to have a break in my classroom, and I'd never met Joe Blackwell before, but I've always wanted to, and she was teaching a class directly across the hallway. And it had been going on, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes already. I pop in the door, and it is wall-to-wall, carpet, people everywhere. And growing up in this industry, my dad always took me to shows, and he always says, if you can't get in the front row, don't go. So, I mean, there's been times I've crawled over people to get to the closest I can to the stage. Well, I literally crawled over people. I got close to the stage. I found a little piece of carpet, plopped my butt down. And no sooner do I sit down, Joe's talking about her and her husband are just coming off of a cruise, and she went to settle up the spa bill, and the spa bill was $2,200. And this whole collective audience of like 300 people go, and she's like, "What is that about?" They're like, $2,000. She's like, "We had $2,200 of relaxation, pampering, lovely experience, peace, comfort."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Here's
and you should have seen her bar bill. That was way bigger than the spa bill."
And then she says, "Here's the problem and the epidemic in our industry. Most of you would not go to you and pay your prices. So why should anybody else?" And that was just like, I speak that story forever because it was so profound. I challenge a lot of my coaching clients to start putting money in an envelope, throw money in an envelope, save a few $100s, and go to what you've heard as some of the best salons and spas in your area and go learn. Learn what you like and learn what you dislike, and then bring back the good to your experience.
Well, you know the best part about what you talked about, and I have to tell you, I'm dear friends with and love Joe Blackwell to death, and her husband. They're wonderful. And I think I may have been on that cruise with them. I'm not sure, but I think I may have been their keynote business speaker, because I've been on a couple cruises with her. But the most important part about what you talked about, not only in regard to service, but in regard to expanding our thinking, it would be that no one in your company could ever deliver better service than they've received.
Wow.
Service is really an experience that's very relationship involved. So one of the things we used to do in my company outside of Washington, we have a phenomenal restaurant here for many, many years called Chez Francois. It's a French restaurant. All the presidents and vice presidents go there. I used to take a team of my staff once a month to Chez Francois and get them to really experience phenomenal service.
Yes.
So that they understand what it's like to, when you talk about having a servant's heart, many of us and many of the people in the beauty industry, the reason we're successful is that we really do have that servant's heart. I mean, I went to work every day, even with clients that I wish were with the Lord. And my goal that for that time was to create an event for them, to really make it worth their time and money, to give them something to talk about, to have them go home and say, you got to go there. This place is different.
Uh-oh. We froze.
So how about some questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Rob.
How do you get the team to buy into like changing these, servant type of thing? How do you get them to get into, I'm on board with you type of deal,
Yeah. It's not easy. That's something that you have to understand, that in creating a culture, especially for all of you that have other people that you work with, one of the things I share all the time, in the absence of culture, there's culture. It's just not your culture.
Right.
So part of your job has to be to create an ongoing culture, something that never really goes away, that we're constantly building and tweaking and going on. But I would suggest that there's nothing wrong with what I call quick, spontaneous, not a 2-hour sit-down drag out, just 15 minutes on how today could we blow the customer's minds together as a team. Now, write this down. Keep in mind that if the essence of true team spirit is that we would create an environment where we bring out the best in each other. However, I think where people should start is, you should start by creating an environment where you bring out the best in you. So if you look at having a meeting with your team in regard to how do we put service in the forefront of everything that we do, there's a few fundamentals regarding how to develop team spirit. Number one is we need to share knowledge with each other. So something you might want to look at is, if you grabbed your best service person or best 2 service people or best service story, have them share so that we begin to share that knowledge with each other. Okay. And the second fundamental is we want to create an environment where we really cover our team. We have issues sometimes where we feel like people don't live up to what it is we're trying to do. Well, nobody wants to be a failure. Nobody wants to be a loser. Nobody wants to get yelled at. I think many times that's a cry for help, where they lack the skills to succeed. They lack the confidence to deliver that incredible service. And then fundamental number 3, and this is really major, especially for all of you, because a primary part of your position would be that you are there to stimulate spirit. So the third fundamental is to stimulate spirit. And odds are, many of us get so busy, it's difficult to sustain your own spirit, let alone share that spirit with others. But I'll tell you in an exact answer, Robert, to your question, I would create a service dialogue that would be very simple. Just, this is how we open, this is what we share with the guest, and we want to make sure the guest knows. An example would be, My staff used to hate meetings. I don't know about your staff. And every time we'd have a meeting, people would like freak out and panic. So I made a promise to all of them that I was going to leave a pad on the front desk. And everyone was going to grade their time with us today in the salon on a 1 to 10 scale. And the deal was, if every guest gave us a 10, there was no need to have a meeting at all. But if we got 1 9, we would have a meeting every other week. If we got 1 8, we would have a meeting every week. If we got 1 7, we would have a meeting every day. So what it does is it creates a self-policing atmosphere. And it's not like I want to push down the throats of my staff how to deliver great service. I think everyone knows how to deliver great service. I just don't think they do it consistently. So I wanted them to put money where their mouth was and realize if they didn't want to have a meeting, how would they get that 10 every time with every customer so that they've earned the right, to be successful. I hope I answered your question.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else who has another question, please? Oh, come on, y'all.
I have a question.
Miss Christy Bush.
Please.
When you were talking about really giving the client what they want, what's a good way to get client feedback, especially if they don't want to really give it, like to do it anonymously,
Yeah. Well, most of them don't want to give feedback. And most of them, when they do give feedback, they really lie to us. I mean, if you think about it, I've been a hairdresser for 40 years. Here's what I know. I know that more of my clients would rather lie to me and say they'd be back than tell me the truth and say that they wouldn't. But I think if you create a real environment of trust where they understand that we are, I know people that are committed, and then I know people that are committed. So if they know you're totally committed to them, they'll be easier in sharing with you what may have happened or not happened that would allow them to either come back or not come back. It's sort of in creating the environment, but also I think it's important that everyone asks questions. And I think your weaker people might not ask the question of, how am I doing? Is this great for you? One of the ways I would always open my dialogue with the guest when I sat them in the chair was, today, my intention is to exceed your expectations.
Wow.
Please tell me if I am or not. See, I wanted them, when they were finished with me, I wanted them to think, when I say hairdresser, the only thing you should see in your mind is me. And if that happens, we both win. So I would try to articulate that within my service dialogue. Do any of you have my CDs?
Oh, yeah.
On my CDs, I talk about dialogue all the time. And what happens a lot of times is people don't understand the value of, if you have CDs, just listen to them and write that dialogue down and make it yours. Because the reality is, until you do, you're losing money.
Yeah. I used to have a sign on my station that said, if you love what I did, please tell your friends. If you don't, please tell me.
Beautiful.
I have the same sign.
Wonder where you got it.
That's a great sign.
Just a real quick heads up, team. So last night I was prepping and getting my mindset for this call, and I was going through some old files, and I knew I had a recording somewhere. I didn't know where it was, but I guess what? I found it. So I was at the Chicago Hair Show, I don't know, 5-7 years ago, and the vice president of the Ritz-Carlton was one of the keynote speakers there on the esthetician side of the show. Yeah, they spend more money on their speakers over there, huh?
Yes.
So he comes out, he does this hour or so presentation, and it's all about customer service. And I recorded it on my digital recorder. It was never meant to be for anybody other than me. But probably 95% of this is a really good recording. Some of it I'm fidgeting and moving it around, and it's obnoxiously loud and annoying for a few minutes. But I'm going to figure out how to send that file to all of you as another added bonus for being on these calls. Because he talks about one thing, and it's a story. He talks about a lot of things. But at the end, we got to ask him some questions. And this is piggybacking on what you said, Gino, about nobody can ever give a customer experience on a really amazing level if they've never received it as a guest. So after he got done doing this amazing talk, I asked him a question. I think I was the first one in the room. And I said, is it true what I've heard about when you get hired at the Ritz-Carlton, after you're done with your orientation, what they do is check you in as a guest. So the only way you can deliver is to have been a guest and experience. And he says, and he's all about your names. He goes, well, that's a great question, which is great trainer formality. And he goes, what's your name, sir? And he used my name 3 to 5 times within the first 2 minutes. All these little techniques that you're going to get from him speaking, and then we're going to start honing those into our business. But he says, yes, after somebody gets hired, we get them and their family to drive up to valet, park their car, and then do this entire experience and check in. So, yeah, we can't give what we don't know exists out there in the world.
Well, you know, too, I think it's important to remember that none of us here on this screen think like the guest thinks. Once you've gone to beauty school, you think differently. We think differently about beauty than they do. We don't pay for beauty, and they do pay for beauty. They spend more money on beauty than we ever would because of where we are. And almost in our industry, service has been beaten down to a point of, if it's decent, they feel pretty good about it because they've had such bad service down line. Ritz-Carlton used to be known for not only exceptional service, but the thing that would blow my mind is, how do you teach a 15-year-old how to do it right? You know, how do you get a 17-year-old park your car and really be committed? I think it really does start with the heart. And you have to have, like when you talked about having a servant's heart, you have to have the heart of a servant. And you have to make sure that your own life, your own issues can't overtake what you're about to give to your guest.
Correct.
So you can't bring your life to work. You can't get your life get in the way. You can't let your problems get in the way. You have to be there for them. Now I have a real thing, and if any of you ever saw when I was inducted into the North American Hairstyling Awards Hall of Leaders, and they asked me, how did you ever get this? And I said, I don't know, because I've never been a great hairdresser, and I've never said I was. But there is one thing that's never deviated from me. I love my industry. I love hair salons, 2 chairs or 50 chairs, and I have a thing about delivering 100%. Yeah. And if ever you've seen me at a show or you have my CDs, I believe give 100% every time, all the time. And I try to tell people, perhaps what differentiates me from you would be that I give 100% of the time. Yeah. I let nothing, no problems, no politics, no president, no football game, nothing gets in the way of me and my guest or me and the service at hand. Now, if you like, let me grab my notes. I wrote a couple things down for you that I thought would be absolutely pertinent. Can I, let me go get my notebook and I'll come right back.
Go get it. Go get it.
You guys think of questions.
How many are you in love with this? How cool is this?
Yes.
Tracy, did your mic ever come on? Did you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Yeah. Earlier when I was having you say hi to GENO, were you not hearing us at that time?
I didn't hear that at all, no.
Okay. We'll make sure you get a hello in too before it's all done, okay? So you guys got questions? I mean, here's the man right here in front of us. We don't have access to this forever. I noticed your hand was going up, Christine.
I have one.
Did you have a question, Christine?
I just had a comment for Christy, but I just messaged her privately.
Well, do you all know that for those non-private messages, that there's a chat button down here? On the bottom part, you scroll down if you hover over chat, and then you can have a whole chat window going on with everybody, or you could go privately on here too, for that matter. All right, G, welcome back, buddy.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you've heard of this before, but I love it, and I have a real thing about acronyms that I think work well in our business. I think stylists and estheticians and nail technicians, they remember acronyms better than other things. So this is a thing called reliable care, and it's the great part of delivering outrageous service, and it's actually, I believe, originated at the Ritz-Carlton. Reliable care is number one, to be reliable, and then care, C-A-R-E. The C stands for credible. Are you credible, believable? The A stands for attractive. Are you attractive? Your tool's attractive, your product's attractive. And by the way, if you're taking notes and you're going to have a meeting with your team, I have an unbelievable thing about, if you feel like you need to make more money, you need to dress up to the money you'd like to make.
Yes.
I think it's so so important. The R stands for being responsive. To be responsive truly to your customer's needs. How do we exceed the customer's expectation every time? And the E stands for to be empathetic. To really have empathy for someone, to have empathy for a customer. Now, I'll give you an example. My mom, when I was a kid, my mom used to save her money. Now, we had no money. We were very, very poor. My mom used to save her money, and every couple of months, she would go to Elizabeth Arden's Red Door Salon and pretend she was rich. And she did it forever, for years. Well, one day, I'm teaching a seminar at the IBS show in New York, and a guy raises his hand and he says, "My name is Johnny Hooligan. Do you know me?" And I said, "Well, I don't know you, but I do know your name." I said, "Wait a minute. You were my mother's hairdresser." And he said, "Yes, I was." And I said, "Well, I'm so glad you're here. First of all, I want you to know that I feel like you did my mother a disjustice, a disservice." And he said, "Oh, man, what do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I think you knew my mother was poor. And my mother came to the salon and wanted to pretend she was rich. And you didn't let her. You didn't let her spend that money." And, you know, we do that sometimes so much, so often. We'll decide or try to figure out where a client's at. And that will affect our level of service. We start thinking maybe they won't be back or maybe they don't have the money. And I'll tell you what, that's prejudice. That's prejudicial thinking. You have to let a customer come and spend whatever they want to spend with you. But you might want to jot this down. Everyone loves to buy, but no one likes to be sold.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to buy, but no one likes to be sold. Now, I don't know if you've heard this before. It's been around for a while, but people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care about them. And the reason I share that, it's an old one, but it fits well into, are you prepared to really make a commitment to the customer where that customer feels like there's no one quite like you when they leave? There's no salon quite like yours, that it was so worth the money that they can't wait to come back. Okay, so questions.
Can you repeat that last one?
Oh, the people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care about them.
Yeah.
So what we want to try to do is get across to the customer, we're only there for them.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Okay.
remember two things that kind of piggyback to a different, just expanding on two things. You said you give 100% all the time. I remember interviewing JP, John Paul DeJoria, years ago, and he said that throughout his life and building his empire, at one point when he was way not there yet, he used to look at himself every night in the mirror before he went to bed and say, did I give 100% of myself to 100% of my day? And he says, it took me forever to be able to say yes to that. But once I was able to say yes to that, that became the new norm and created the new pattern that every day when I started connecting many of those days together, my life changed.
Oh, no, absolutely no doubt. And you know what? Regardless of how you feel about anything, John Paul is an amazing man. And
Correct.
has really done, he's not only done so much for himself, but he's done so much for so many.
Yeah.
And think about this now, when you talk about service, how well you say service your employees. JP's got 54 people that have been with him since the first year of Paul Mitchell Systems.
Amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, however, I will tell you this. There are very small things all of you could do that would make tremendous changes, not only in your thinking, but even very much in the salon. If you were to go in today and say, for now on, I want to declare service top priority.
Oh.
Declare service a top priority so that nothing gets in the way of that. Now, if you were to look up the actual word service, it, believe it or not, was derived from a Norwegian word called selja. And the definition of selja is to service fully, to offer them everything.
Can you spell that? Can you spell that word?
Oh, I don't know how it's spelled. I can spell service, S-E-R-V-I-C-E, but
Okay.
it might be S-E-L-J-A, but I'm not real sure. I'm loaded with useless information.
I love it.
And you know, I think, Robert, in a response to your earlier question, we have to get everyone to commit to service being a top priority. It can't just be us. You're going to find there'll be people around you, not only that might let you down in regard to your work environment, but you may be fully committed to great service and go someplace like Starbucks where you get crapped on. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, there it goes. That takes care of that. I think a great service provider learns how to respond to others and not react. Okay. And I think that we as beauty professionals, as hairdressers, as artists, we react constantly instead of responding. And what a lot of people don't realize, the true difference is when you react, it's a 100% emotional.
Right.
Okay. When you respond, it's emotion mixed with logic.
Wow.
Correct. I agree.
And for us, it's very difficult to get in the habit of really thinking before you speak.
Repeat that. Repeat that react and response again. That's big.
Okay. To react is 100% emotional. So that's a total right brain thing to have a reaction. Okay. To respond is emotion mixed with logic.
Yeah.
That you take the time to think before you speak. And sometimes what I use as an example is when my son first started to drive and he had a 12 o'clock curfew. And he goes out to one Saturday night and it's 12 o'clock and he's not home. And by 5 or 10 after 12, I began to get worried. Oh, gosh, he's not home. It's 10 after 12. By 12:20, I was like, oh my goodness, I hope he's okay. I was praying for him. I hope everything's all right. By 12:30, he walks in the door and I go, you little bastard, I'll kill you. And I went right from all that love and caring straight to nothing but a reaction. Yeah. All I wanted to do was react instead of respond. And I think that happens many times in a salon. We begin to judge a guest based on how they dress or what they say or how they are. And we're not in a place to ever judge anyone. And I think it becomes costly when we do.
It also has something to do with what they want too. They could be requesting something that's just totally outrageous and not right for them. And then the stylist is going to go, oh my God, are you crazy? And then just kind of goes downhill from there.
Yes,
but,
indeed.
it's all about what they want as well, how you react to that response of
Yes.
what they're wanting. So
yes. Well, something great you could do, and we rarely see it in the industry, start having little dialogue meetings, just 10 or 15 minutes. You know, a cool thing, start to keep a journal. What does a customer say that turns you off, that you don't know what to say back? What are the things that a guest might share with you that you don't exactly know how to respond? And start to keep a journal of them. So you learn how to have the exact answers, the exact response. So if the guest comes in, I have a picture and I want this, we learn how to say, well, I'd love to do that. And I'm experienced in this cut and I could make it happen. Here's what I know. Your bone structure really doesn't support it. You're very different from her. She's got very thin hair. You've got very thick hair. Be prepared for the fact that it is going to look a little bit different. I think sometimes we know, but we don't know how to explain. You follow?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I think that it would be a great tool to start to keep a journal. And here's what I believe. I believe that most guests know how to turn us off better than we know how to turn them on. They know exactly what to say to shut us down. They're even more experienced in dialogue than we are. They practice. They're out in the car. And you've got a young person come in. The mother goes, you tell them you have no money. You tell them you can't buy anything. You get in there, get your hair cut, and get out. You follow?
Right.
So shoot me some questions.
I love it. Real quick, go ahead, Melissa, please.
You had talked about the younger clientele or the younger employees and teaching them how to have a servant's heart. I'm going to be in the process of interviewing pretty shortly. What types of questions, what types of things should I do in the interviewing process to get a handle on what their heart is and if they do have a servant's heart and if they're willing to do that?
That is a wonderful question.
Excellent.
And we are not terrific at hiring. We tend to, if we like them, they're in, and if we don't, they're out. And in today's world, I mean, if every one of us were to talk about interviews and leads right now, we all know exactly what to say. We know what to put on that application. I think something that would be genuine for all of you, get a good book on how to read people. There's so many of them out there. There's even a book called How to Read a Person Like a Book. And you can get that book, and it teaches you, because we tend to be right brain emotional. This teaches you how to look at them logically. What are they telling you? Now, here's what I know. When I used to work a lot in Cleveland with BSG, with the Beauty Systems, that's where Ritz-Carlton was based. They invited me to a one-day hire, 10 to 4 of the Ritz-Carlton. And I went. From 10 to 11, all they talked about was the background in the Ritz-Carlton. And then at 11 o'clock, we took a break. At 11:30, the room was split in half. And I said to one of the Ritz-Carlton guys, look, I'm Gino. I'm not here to be hired. The room's been split in half. He said, yeah, we watched them the first hour. And at the end of the first hour, we pretty much know who's a little more service-oriented just by watching them and move them.
Wow.
Then we break for lunch. They watch everybody at lunch, and they break the room in half again. Now you're in a room with 25 people. So I called the guy over, and I said, Lou, what's going on? He said, we're going to hire out of these 25. These people displayed the fact that they like to service, take care of others. So my suggestion to you, Melissa, would be drop a pencil and see if they see the pencil dropped. See if they say the pencil dropped, or they pick up the pencil and give it to you. You know what I mean? And you can just watch them. Now, for all of you, I would suggest, if you're interviewing anyone anymore, ask off-the-wall questions. Don't be asking them the typical questions everybody asks all the time. People are too smart to. You know what I'd ask? Do you have a hobby? What's your hobby? What's your hobby? What makes you passionate? What are you passionate about? Because I believe I hire people on passion. I can always train them for skill.
Yes.
You follow?
Yes.
And I think passionate people become more believable. They're seen more as experts. And when you're passionate, you already have a servant's heart. It's there.
Correct.
You follow?
Yes.
Now, get that book. It'll blow your mind. Get How to Read a Person Like a Book. Yeah. Anybody else? Come on, I got 22 minutes. Pour it out.
Keep going, y'all. Terry down there on the bottom. Get close
Yes,
to your
sir.
mic, girl.
I set my mic. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, just stay close.
Okay. The question is, in having a servant's heart, how do you know where to set a healthy boundary? Have
Yeah.
a servant's heart and not allow the client to run over you.
Tough question, because in all honesty, some clients are just going to run over you. It's going to happen. So the first answer would be, when you do get run over, get over it and realize that that's people. That's who we're working with. See, I have a real thing about people. Some people think people are weird. I think everyone's weird. We are. People are weird. Some people are weird in the salon. Some people are weird behind closed doors, but people are weird. All people are. So my first thought would be that when you get run over, because you're going to, get over it quickly. Don't hold it. Don't make it affect how you're going to treat your next guest. You have to realize that we're the kind of people that's going to happen to us. It's not going to happen a lot, I hope, and it's not going to happen all the time, but it is going to happen occasionally. I think here's where you draw the line, where you look at boundaries. Don't give yourself away. Don't immediately talk about discounts. And I can help you with this, or I can help you with that. Talk from a professional's heart. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I charge. This is what I have to offer. And I think many times, because of our lack of dialogue, we allow them to take over. And then they begin to walk all over us. You've got to take control of that 5x5 space around the chair. And remember, self-confidence is the product of knowledge. So whenever you feel you lack confidence, it isn't confidence that you're lacking. It's the knowledge to act, speak, be confident. You follow. Okay? So I think it's important that when you think to yourself, I'm not good at that, what you're really telling yourself is, I don't know enough about that. And if I knew more, I'd be better at it. So it's important to always keep in your mind, self-confidence is the product of knowledge. You need to be the expert. And I think if you come across to them as the expert, you control that conversation, whether it's an employee, a coworker, a customer, a child, a relationship person. Did I answer your question, Terry?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
And Miss Tracy, she figured out how to raise her hand on the camera, so Tracy has her hand up. Go ahead, Tracy. She wanted to say hi to Gino. We have Tracy in the house.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Hey, Gino. How are you doing?
Good. You?
Hey, good. Hey, I want to ask you about partnerships. I know there's good, there's bad, but opening a salon with a partner, what is your opinion on it?
It's so hard. I don't know that I have an actual opinion. I've had a few partnerships. I've had a couple of partnerships that are unforgettably wonderful. There's great people out there. I think the most important part of any partnership, including, I mean, at one time, I had 230 employees. I felt like I was a partner to every one of them. And I used to constantly remind them, all I'll ever ask of you is to be every day like you were the first day you were here, because that's kind of how people are. So the most immediate thing I do with an actual salon partnership would be to put everything in writing and be very clear. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is where I'm at. This is where you're at. Many times we expect things of people, yet they don't know what our expectations are. So you have to be very clear in these are my expectations. And I think then partnerships are wonderful. They're
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Anybody else?
How am I doing?
You're doing great. I wanted to piggyback a little bit real quick, Gino, too. Back a few minutes ago, you were talking about not allowing our guests to spend their money.
Right.
My sister and I worked in 3 different salons for 15 years, right next to each other. Thank God we're both still alive to talk about it. But I used to watch her, and Elisa knows where I'm about to go right now, because she's number 2 great at this. So I used to tell my sister, you are the best WW I've ever seen in my life. She goes, what? What's that mean? I said, you're the best wallet watcher I've ever met in my life. You will watch your client's money as though it was your own. And I said, it's not. Your job is not to manage their wallet. Your job is to find out their wants, needs, desires, and challenges, and then you become the hero and offer those solution services and let them choose what they want.
Very well said. I used to share all the time, never let a customer put a dollar limit on your creativity.
Bam. Love it.
I always ask my staff, like, whose wallet are you more concerned about, yours or theirs?
Yeah.
Your time is valuable. It's not theirs. I mean, you got to think of it that way sometimes.
No, well, you know what, too? I think it's so very important, and it's a missing message in our world. I try to share with people all the time. I have a thing about money. I like it a lot. I think most of us are underpaid. I think most of us could really make so much more money, and I really don't think it's hard to be rich. I think if you know how, it's not hard to acquire wealth. But here's what I think. I think people will let the dollar get in front of the cause. When you let the dollar get in front of the guest will always lose. When you put the guest in front of the dollar will always follow.
Nice. Damn, you got some diamonds going today.
Come on, that's how I've lived for all my years of my life in my industry. The industry's been wonderful to me, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking at a screen of almost everyone here, other than Oscar, maybe, is probably more talented than I am. I mean, I believe talent is very overrated. I've never been a talented hairdresser. I'm just a nice guy, and I think if you're nice enough, they'll stay with you.
You know,
they really will.
The first week I got my license and coming into work at my dad's salon, that first week he was throwing stuff at me left and right. He said one thing about service that week, and I think I mentioned it next week. He said, son, you are now in the service business, and if you're not there to serve your guests, somebody else will be. And he said, and I'm right here. I will snatch a client out from under your feet so quick you won't know what happened to you. So he taught me that like that first week right out the chute.
Priceless.
Yeah.
That's priceless. That's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what I live by, guys. Passion before profit.
Yeah.
That's what I live by. Passion before profit.
Elisa, I saw your hand go up first, and then we'll come back to Delia. And Delia, your mic is muted. So go ahead, Elisa.
No, I Googled you last night, and one of the things that came up, Gino, you were telling a story about how when people had big open spaces and not enough clients, you would send them out on the street and have them wave to cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's what I think, Alyssa. I'm probably on my last year or two. I'm really getting ready to retire. And I've had such a wonderful, incredible career in the beauty industry. And I know I'm not talented. I've never been a great hairdresser or a great salon owner. I was nothing more than a great friend to my staff. But I try to share everywhere I go that I've led an extraordinary life in the beauty industry. I think all of us could. The difference might be is what are you willing to change? What are you willing to read or willing to study? So I had a real thing with my staff about, look, if you're slow, what are you willing to change? You know, don't go in the break room and complain about it. Go outside and get customers. See, I think there's a few things that we do generally wrong, and I wish, if I could be, I'd like to come back with you and be involved in your marketing conversation. But
Yes.
I think marketing is something we do poorly, and I think people need to learn how to go out and really talk about who they are and what they do and sell themselves. I just did a program for a salon just outside of Princeton, New Jersey. We had a one-day seminar, and they were talking about how slow business was, and I said, I'll make you a deal. If somebody here will take me out to dinner, I'll send you next week 3 new clients.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? I said, I'll get them at the restaurant at dinner.
That's how I roll.
And I had their cards. I talked about beauty. I talked about one girl's hair and some different things you can do. So I think a key thought in regard to service would be everyone should evaluate how well they sell beauty. So you should evaluate on a 1 to 10 scale with everyone you know that's in the beauty industry. On a 1 to 10 scale, how well do you sell beauty? Now, I can tell you where I'm at. On a 1 to 10 scale, I sell beauty at about a 20.
Yeah.
But when I talk to people that they'll give themselves a 6 or 7, I have to say to them, if you're at a 6, you have not earned the right to complain. You're never going to have a lot of money. You're never going to have a large clientele. You got to get that number up. You have to learn how to sell who we are and what we do and how we do what we do. And you have to service the client to where the client gets out in the car and their head is spinning and all they're talking about is how great it was, how great we were, how much we cared, you know, what great products they got, you know, just all the great things about what we do.
Somebody once told me the day you decided to get into the salon industry was the day you decided to not be shy or an introvert anymore.
Yes, very true. By the way, congratulations Alyssa, on Google. I love it. Google everyone. That's what we should do.
Hey,
questions?
Christy, can you unmute? And then, so Miss Christy here, after our last call, that was her, she was on that call. She took the focus of that meeting back to her team, and they did a meeting Monday on service. Can you share a little bit of what showed up, how you brought it back to your team, and then what evolved from the meeting, please?
Well, I haven't had a meeting in a long time, so that was a huge thing. So I was really nervous and didn't think that people would participate.
Of course.
But I did send out an agenda, and to find out they did participate. And it was really good. And we did the flip chart and took notes, and everybody was on board and everybody was excited. And now we have it posted up in the break room, and we're really working more together. And I think one thing that I got out of the meeting was that I was talking with them instead of at them.
Wonderful.
And that's what I used to do in the meeting.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what kind of changed and made it more like team. And I like how you use team spirit. I think that's really
that's monumental.
Yeah.
That really is monumental. And you know what? Keep in mind that people are quick to change. And because they were on board, you better start thinking now about how you're going to keep them on board. One of the things I say all the time is inspiration is very short-lived.
What, inspiration? Is that what you said?
Inspiration is very short-lived, and obviously you inspired them, and now they're on board. It won't last a long time. So you have to be prepared to re-inspire and re-inspire and re-inspire as you move down line. By the way, I just want to make sure that you guys have this before I go. There are 6 levels of service, okay? Number one is unbelievable. Unbelievable service. That's what I'm always looking for. When I walk into a restaurant, a good restaurant, the first thing I'll say to the waiter or waitress is, give me something to talk about with. Do you follow? Give me something to talk about you so I can leave here and say, my server was incredible. Okay, unbelievable service. Number two is surprising service. You didn't expect to get it, but it was a surprise. It was kind of exciting. It was nice. Number three is desired. Everyone comes basically looking for number three, desired service, what it is they were looking for. Number four is expected service, what you expect to get from a salon. Expected service would be McDonald's. And McDonald's actually tells you what you're going to get before you get there. You know, come to McDonald's with 2 all beef patties, pickle sauce, lettuce, cheese, onions on a sesame seed bun. That's expected service. Number 5 is basic service. Not looking for too much, just basic service. And then number 6 is criminal service. And criminal service is when somebody is there, but they're not. And they just don't care. They've decided they don't care whether they have you or not. So something that you should look at would be, where do you feel consistently your salon or your team fits? And from a service standpoint, how committed are you to extraordinary, outrageous service every time, all the time? I've only got a few more minutes, so give me some questions, because you can see I never stop talking.
I love it. Who's ready? Delia, go ahead. You're muted. Let me unmute you. Or you can. There you go.
Okay, so going with this whole, you give your team expectations, you kind of try to build your culture. I have a very little team, so I asked them to join in trying to build my culture. So I'm a big on customer service. How do I keep them on the same path with me? Like, I feel like you said, they get inspired and then they fall off. How do you hold them accountable? Of course.
There's a few things you can do. You could have shorter meetings more often. Just a 10-minute sort of powwow. Don't forget who we are. Don't forget what we're here for. Let's stay focused. I don't know if any of you are on my Facebook page, but I posted the day before yesterday on my Facebook page. And by the way, if you're not on it and you want to get inspired, get on my Facebook page. It'll floor you. I do a beautiful quote almost every day. But I did a couple days ago, I can't believe at my age, at my place in my career, I still have to remind myself sometimes who I am. I just forget even me, let alone my staff. So have shorter, briefer meetings more often. Next, perhaps a great customer service book you all start reading together. Go out and buy 8 paperbacks of delivering outrageous, how to keep a customer for life. Go on my website and get my book list. There's 1 million customer service books. And start reading just a few pages with everybody so that we find simple ways to keep service on the forefront of their minds.
Yeah.
Get them to read about how good it felt. Okay? I think that...
I play CDs constantly in my car. My kids will.
Wait, you have to come back to me. I couldn't hear you.
I said I have all your CDs. My kids listen to you all day, every day in the car.
Fantastic.
But, yeah, so I'm just having that issue with having to stay within the customer service. But
Delia, Gino, if I can piggyback real quick, Delia, what I might add to this is if you took your staff one by one and make them the client, and you share on them physically what the guest experience you want delivered feels like to them.
Great idea.
And now you have a model that you can refer back to if you happen to observe, oh, they did step 1, 2, and 3 really well, but I noticed you dropped step 4 and 5. Yeah. Let's represent that.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Come on, y'all. 6 minutes, man. We got to get let's work this man.
Tracy, did you have your hand up? Anybody? Don't leave me hanging.
You guys, I can't believe this. Well, then Sarah, I'm gonna say something real quick.
Now, Sarah had her hand up.
Okay, Sarah, go, girl.
So I find it hard sometimes to stay inspired. So, what's like a quick thing that you do daily, or is there like a meditation or something that you just keep yourself going and keep yourself motivated?
Well, I do meditate. And I think that's important, Sarah. And you do have a great spirit about you. You're a lucky individual. You have a great sense of spirit. I think probably the most important thing would be people are funny, and we all sell ourselves short. I mean, every one of you on the screen have amazing potential, and sometimes you're so busy doing other things that you forget your potential. I think that you pay a price for being busy. You're so busy thinking about who you are and what you have to do. You have no time to think about who you could be and what you could do. So I think every day, the way to stay inspired is to get out of what is and get into what could be. What could you be if you became aware of your complete potential? What could you be if you really tried and really gave your all? And every now and then just remind yourself, it's not as bad as sometimes we think it is. And you have to just reprogram your mind, put your life in perspective. You know, we're all so lucky to be here, to be together, to be in this great industry, to be friends, you know, to be a part of such a great thing. For me personally, I listen to CDs constantly. I listen to Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Anthony Robbins and everybody constantly. Every day, even for a few minutes, I listen to someone telling how to be better at what I am. And then I practice constantly not letting people get to my emotion. I try to build a wall around myself. And just because you're bitchy, I'm not going to get bitchy back. I'm not going to succumb to that. You follow. I think that's
don't make me break down your wall, Gino.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah. So I hope I gave you some good ideas there, Sarah.
Yes, thank you.
Good.
And then Tracy, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Gina, do you recommend any books on balance, like balancing your work and home life?
Well, there's probably more books on balance than anything else. I mean, the library's filled with them. I'll tell you what I would suggest to you. Are you married, Tracy?
Yes, I know you. I come to your shows and you coached me before. I don't know. I look probably different.
Oh my God! I didn't even realize that. Tracy, you darling, how are you?
I lost. Good. How are you?
You missed all my compliments. I didn't even. You look different, and you're way down the bottom of my screen. I couldn't see that it was you. Here's what I would look at in regard to balance. And Tracy, I'm glad you're here. I would look simply at this. If you have to look at balance and what you want out of life. Now, I know who you are now, and I know you're married, you have children, you have a good relationship. That alone creates a struggle because you almost feel guilty working a whole lot. But if you want to have a great quality of life, you almost have to put balance aside. It's going to be very difficult to have both because, you know, the average worker in America works 35 to 40 hours a week. The average manager or higher paid person in America works 40 to 60 hours a week. One of the things I used to tell my family all the time is there'll be a time for balance, but it isn't now. Right now, I've got to stay focused on doing the task at hand, getting the job done. So I think one of the best books I read on balance was called Being a Balanced Beauty. And I don't even know if it exists. It was out a long time ago. But I'll give you an idea. I'm Gino at genostampora.com, and I know, Tracy, you've got all my stuff. If you'll email me or text me, I'll look into what would be a good balanced book for a beauty professional. Now, if you haven't done it, Betty Edwards, I think it's not Betty Edwards, Julia Cameron, drawing on let me think of the name of this. The Artist's Mind. Julia Cameron is great because she shows you how to journal into what it is you're trying to get with balance. The Artist's Way. The title of the book is The Artist's Way. Outstanding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I got 2 minutes. Give me what you got. One more question. Come on, anything.
Anybody else? Well, I want to say this, G. It blows. Oh God, can you guys hear me? Okay, I just got a thing that says internet connection is unstable. You guys can hear me? Okay.
Me too.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good now. It went away. So I just want to say thank you, Gino. You know, this is like kind of surreal for me. I look back to the years when I first met you. I'll never forget we were at the Harms Millennium event We were
Yes,
having
indeed.
lunch together. We were both speakers there. And
I remember.
And I'll never forget, you said, I asked you, what's the greatest part of your weekend so far? And you said, actually, seriously, Oscar? And I said, yeah. And you said, having lunch with you right now, which I know is bullshit, but that's okay.
It was.
But what it did is it brought us together from that moment on to a whole different friendship, mentor relationship. Because you've always been a mentor of mine. Team, I'm going to talk about on one of our future calls, having your advocates. And one of my mentors, he suggested having 25. I have 4 that are my advocates and mentors, and it's GENO, it's Eric Fisher, it's Van Council, and it's Luis Alvarez. And
you keep yourself in good company, baby. You keep yourself in good company.
And for the last 6 years, real quick, Gino, for the last 6 years, I send these guys a happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, etc. So Gino,
yes,
love you. We love you. Thank you for participating. I'll talk to you about coming back on for the marketing series.
That would be wonderful. I want to thank you all for your time. God bless you.
Thank you, Gino.
I wish you all great success. And Tracy, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you there. Great to see you. You guys have a wonderful day. See you soon.
Gino. Everybody else stay on. We're not done yet. Gino, love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too, Oscar. Thank you, man.
We'll talk soon. God bless. Thanks, brother. Okay. Oh my God. Woo! How awesome was that, team? Sarah, I want to piggyback really quickly when you were talking about, Sarah, there you are. You were saying, you were talking about being inspired every day, right?
Yeah.
So one other thing you can do, so I seek out inspiration literally almost every day, like Gino was talking as well. I seek out going to, I look up on YouTube videos, inspirational videos. I'll listen to certain music that gets me inspired. But one of the, why do you think I do that?
Just to keep yourself going 100%, to keep yourself motivated so you don't get burnt out, so you don't give half of what you can.
Because what do I do for a living?
Coach.
And inspire and motivate other people, right? So I kind of have to be at a certain level every day, all day long, huh? So what if your mindset became around the thoughts and emotions of, I even wrote this down, Sarah, seek to inspire others. Okay. So if you got up every morning with this intention of, I want to inspire others, how do I get me fired up? Well, you start searching for inspiration. Like Gino said, he still listens to Brian Tracy. He goes and seeks Tony Robbins. I do all that every day. I've been retired from behind the chair for almost 11 years now. So I don't do any clients in a salon per se, but I still probably watch 2 hours of technical video per week, just so I'm still kind of relevant to what's going on out there with all of you. I don't want to speak this has-been conversation like I used to do this and know that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think if you start to look, how can I inspire every single one of my guests? How can I bring them some information that can help them? And you in turn are going to put your inspirational level at a whole new place.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. I'd like to go around real quick and just kind of get everybody's value from having Gino on. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Sarah, right now, since you're there. So what was that like? How do you feel now that Gino was on and
I always love listening to Gino. I find that he is, I love how he looks at things. I love how he relates to things. I love that how he forces me to be able to step back and look at things differently and relate to things differently. He also keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired. And I love that he says that I'm a horrible hairdresser. I'm great at this. So, I mean, there's things that I know that I'm horrible at, and there's things I know I'm great at. So it just makes me step back and take a minute to be able to say, to accept the fact that, okay, I'm not good at this, but I'm really good at this, so I'm going to focus on that and how I can, work with that in my industry.
Awesome. So I'm going to give you one more little piece right there before I move on to Melissa. So Sarah, I'm going to really, for those of you who coach with me, you know I'm a word Nazi. Our words become things. So I'm just going to keep around using the word, I know there's things I'm terrible at. So that verbiage perpetuates terrible. Would you agree? So if you have that focus that there's things I'm terrible at, and I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge that I'm terrible at them and leave them in their terrible status, so I'll never improve. So what the verbiage might sound like is there's things I'm not as good at yet as I'm going to be. And there's other things that I'm really good at currently. Does that have a different feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to think a little bit. Hey, don't you dare jump up there. We got to think about things. So Melissa, go ahead. What was your biggest value from the call today?
Well, I've been following GENO for years now. I love GENO, but the putting the guest in front of the dollar and the dollar will always follow is something that was huge. Passion before profit, because I do that's something that I think is incredible thought. Something that I did want to bring up that I started doing with a couple of my customers is that we started doing this thing where we always try to think of something that happened in the news that was inspirational or just like a really wow great thing, and we try to share that with each other so we can keep each other a little bit more upbeat, I guess.
I love that. That's awesome. Very good. Thank you so much, Melissa. Christine, what was the best value for you, ma'am?
I love that he said he has the customers rate after they leave between 1 and 10 after each service. I feel like that'll help when we get into the uninspired. I think, pardon my French, but the girls will shit their pants if they're getting graded by their clients every single time they leave.
I love it.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we got to shake it up sometimes to get a new result because we know how we got to where we're at, right? Everything we do and everything we've done has got us all to right where we are today. So if we don't like where we're at, we are going to have to change something to go to the next place. Delia, if you want to unmute and share with us, what was your best value from the call today, please?
I think he's funny when he said criminal service. He gave us a list of kind of service that we provide. And it's funny because I think one of my hairdressers who was really, really good just left me because I didn't have a break room for her. And she fell into the criminal service. It's a great way to label that because she was great at a lot of things, but I don't know why she wasn't giving like exceptional service because she didn't get to know her clients. So I didn't know how to put that into words. And I think he has a great way of expressing himself about inspiring us and about the people. It's simple, easy little things that we can do and change. And it's easy and clear to understand him. And it's straight to the point.
I love
him. I have all his stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here too, Delia. Elisa, if you want to unmute yourself, please. And what was your best value today, please?
Well, I think Melissa was asking about hiring new staff and questions to ask in the interview, and that's very pertinent. I'm going to be hiring in the next very short while. And I love that he was saying about the pencil test, dropping the pencil, see if they notice, see if they bend over to pick it up for you. That you can't teach passion, but you can teach skill.
Right.
I think that's huge. So, you know, I'm not a team yet, but I will be. And there were some great ideas about how to inspire your staff.
That's awesome. It's so cool. You guys are just literally recreated so many of his wonderful quotes. That's awesome. And that just proves how much takeaway we got in value from today. Whether you guys speak those words, you're speaking those words. Monica, what was your best value?
I like the part of journaling about what a customer says that turns you off, so you learn how to respond. I think because I've been in the industry for quite a while and my team members are fairly new, I forget that they don't know how to maybe respond to things or how to do certain things. And, you know, I don't know what goes on in their head of what questions the client might ask that is difficult for them. So for them to write a journal and then maybe we can talk about it and what problems are you having, I thought that was really great.
I think that's huge. Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Roberts, your best value today, sir?
Are we delivering reliable care which is credible, attractive, responsive to customer needs, and empathetic? I found that very eye-opening.
Big time. That was
question. Good question to ask yourself and your staff.
Yes, yes. And, you know, as you and I know in our conversations and coaching too, it has to start becoming this repeatable, ongoing, consistent thing from the top, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Alex, what was your best value today, please, my dear?
I'm glad he brought up being a wallet watcher, because I know I'm terrible at that, and it kind of just reminded me again that I just stop doing that, because I mean, everybody always says like the worst they could say is no. So I just need to stop watching people's money, because I'm horrible at it.
Correct.
Can I say something about that? I've had, out of the past 5 years, I've had maybe 3 customers walk out and say no, they didn't want the service because of the price. But out of 5 years, 3 or so walking out, I think it's pretty good, because you know.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
that was a big fear that my staff had to get over as well. It's like, whose wallet are you more concerned about, theirs or yours?
Correct. Right. Because we're all operating out of what's in our wallet and what's our money tolerance versus what's theirs.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, Alex. Thank you so much for that share. Christy, if you want to unmute yourself and share, please.
I thought it was really good about focusing on the guest. I feel like lately I've been focusing so much on the team and what's going to make it easier for them and make them happy. And I feel like maybe I haven't been listening or thinking about the guest instead of trying to please the team. So that was huge. And then I like the great service responds and not reacts.
Awesome. Well, and then to piggyback on what you just said, you've been so focused on the team that you've kind of not had the guest on the forefront. Yes, and. So Sir Richard Bronson, he talks about putting the team first, and when you take care of the team will take care of the guest. So when you're a multi-billionaire and you own, the corporation and company of Virgin, and that's his philosophy, that probably counts for a whole lot as well. And I think it takes kind of both with really strong equal commitments on that one, Christy.
Yeah, very true.
Miss Tracy, your best value today, please.
I liked dropping the pencil as well, because I think it is always more important to hire that way. And I also really like having the guest rate, but with a twist. I think it would be nice too, as a salon owner, for people to get their team members to maybe rate the owner once in a while as well.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And your staff to eventually rate the owner as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the team members to rate the staff.
Correct. So team members rate the owner and clients rate the team.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Miss Terry, you're muted. If you want to unmute and share your best value, please.
My favorite thing he said was, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love it. This is so funny. We've literally recreated the whole call. It's so powerful. And what was it like just to have GENO as part of this, Terry? What was that like?
Oh, well, I love GENO. I was associated with BSG many, many, many years ago, back in the late 80s, all the way through till about 2006, very closely associated with the educator. So I was exposed to GENO from an early standpoint. He's always been one of my absolute favorite people and mentors.
I can't believe I got him on this call, man. This is so fun. It's so cool.
Well, that's because he has the servant's heart.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And Miss Jamie, are you still with us?
Yeah.
We missed not having
his
your
idea of reading.
Go ahead, I'm sorry?
Say that again?
Go ahead.
Oh, I liked his idea about reading books from his website about personal development for clients, servicing clients, and giving them 100%.
Yep.
And I'm a huge wallet watcher. I always feel guilty about spending other people's money or charging my price what I'm worth. Alex said.
You have to.
My biggest.
Because right after they get this great experience of us taking such amazing care of them, giving all these multiple services, they look like a rock star, but our little internal voice says, oh, we can't charge them full price, so let this $200 and this $225 service go out for $120, so I feel better. And what do? They go out and buy a new Coach. They go buy a new Coach bag.
Yeah.
So
save that money on haircut.
Exactly. They save them so much money. They're
Remind myself awful about it.
You know, it's an epidemic in this industry. And, you know, I always say after 30-something years in the industry, and having been in front of rooms all over the country and speaking to all of y'all, I call us an industry of wounded souls. And so many people in this industry come. I think what I love about this industry is like all comers welcome. We let everybody in. But most of the people that come in and hurt, broken, shattered, and their work value sucks. Most people in our industry have a crummy conversation about their self-worth and their dollar value, and it doesn't have to be like that. And it will be like that until you decide to say, I'm done feeling that. Now what do I want to feel? I want to feel valued. I want to feel I received my value for what I charge, and they received a great value for that service. So I think we hit the S of service, servicing, and servant's heart pretty well. Would you all agree? Raise your hand if you guys agree we hit it well. Not everybody's raising their hand. Okay. If there's more that you want from service, let me know. Email me, text me, whatever, and I'll try to give you more. I'm going to try to figure out how to upload that audio recording I have from the vice president of the Ritz-Carlton and send that out to you guys. It's 2 files at the moment, but I'll probably upload it to YouTube, but it's just audio. It's not video. And again, I apologize in advance. It's just a free added bonus. It's worth thousands, but it's a free added bonus. But there's a couple minutes of annoying mic bumps all over when I'm moving the recorder around in my bag. I apologize. So thank you all. Have a great week. Don't wait for it. Go out there and create it. I'm going to flip 3 bricks for us real quick to send us on to our week. So stand by, y'all. Grab 1. Grab 2. And let's grab 3. All right. Ah, whoa. How funny. So first word is generous. Gino was extremely generous participating with us. Next word is strategic, that we must start to create great strategies in order to be more successful, in order to create that culture around service, and servant's heart. It requires a strategy, but the heart of it all is your generosity. And I think the more service we give, we eliminate self-doubt. If we can lose this self-doubt, we can charge what we want and what we're worth. If we can lose self-doubt, we can create an experience beyond what is currently in our mind. So you guys create a great week. Don't let your week happen to you. Go out and happen to your week. I love you all. Thank you guys for being part of this. You guys are making my dreams come true. I hope I'm helping your dreams come true as well. You guys, thanks a lot. Have a great one. God bless you all. Take care.
Awesome.
Have a great week, everybody.
The smartest people in the salon industry. Take care, y'all.